Yes.
Okay. So specifically for this event, I thought it would be good for us to look at how we all see design and how we feel, not necessarily, because I know it sounds like the typical view of, oh, design can change the world, and that makes us sound a little bit naive, but ultimately it really does. And there's so many ways we can look at design to look at how it affects and impacts almost everything around us. So um, I think for this particular session, let me just move this out the way. Sorry, no way to put that. Um, okay, so for this particular session, we're focusing on rethinking what design actually means. And if we look at it over the past couple of years, we've watched all the industries being disrupted, literally forced to evolve. From the retail sector, looking at Amazon, your Airbnbs, Uber, there's almost, I mean, even Netflix, like literally everything that has technology has taken over to such an extent that and completely displaced previous ways of working or previous businesses. And we need to ask ourselves, even if you look at what has happened with COVID-19, the whole world is basically wondering what is the future of everything, from our livelihoods, our work, our jobs, even just looking at the environment and whether we'll even have an earth. You know, so I don't know if you've seen some of the things that's going on, but we'll go into detail a bit later. So firstly, I wanted us to think a bit of design and what it means to you. So I don't know if you guys came prepared with any examples, or if you need just 5 minutes to go and look online to find something that resonates with you on your definition of design, and specifically design which impacts something that's made a real difference. It can be a positive impact or a negative impact. But yeah, you've got 5 minutes just to go look for something. It can be videos, whatever, even if it's a photograph that you've got, and then we'll come back in 5 minutes and share.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, I'm going to just pause the recording while we do that. If I find it.
So can you guys see my screen here?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the company, one of the products that we sell. This is a specific video. This is our launch video. So if you guys bear with me, I'd like to share it with you guys real quickly. It's a 1-minute video.
Are you allowed to share this? Because this is going to be public, eh?
Yeah. No, this is available on the YouTube.
Oh, awesome. Okay, thank you.
Can you guys hear the audio?
Yeah, it's a little bit funny, but I think it will just take some time. I think it's just lagging a little.
Okay. Okay, and that was the reason why I showed this video is you asked us to think about design, and I want to just quickly share something else with you guys. Yeah. Can you see the screen here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a little pocket guide I made for myself around design thinking and what design thinking is and things that I keep in mind when I work on a project with a team. Hello Pesa or Hello Group fundamental thing is to do design for to improve customers' lives. And one of the other things that we really do change customers' lives is the fact that we try to build products and systems that low marginalized people can use to enable their lives, to enable their families' lives. And this can only be done by working with our customers as well as working with a team of spectacular people. Design and design thinking with a team and a team of professionals have enabled me to come up with some innovative ideas to solve everyday problems. Initially, when you asked me to think about design, and I went to my Pinterest board, because initially I started my career as a graphic designer. And when you think about design, you think about Photoshop and you think about typography and layout and pictures and what the psychology is behind color and what visuals can bring across specific words. And for me, it's actually that design is this physical thing that can actually really put a smile on somebody's face. When a customer tells us that they were able to purchase groceries for their mother in Zimbabwe and tell her 10 minutes later, hey, you can go pick it up, it's life-changing. And I think that's what design is for me today. It's as my career expanded as a professional, that's the questions I've been asking is what in design actually adds real value in somebody's life. That's why I transitioned into UX design initially, is because I really wanted to work on something that really have a positive impact on somebody else's life. And I think this is what design is for me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I feel like we need to clap hands. No, but I mean, I think this is also quite a brilliant idea, specifically because a lot of people that are here, that is their biggest problem, is how do they get that money back to the family? How do they get the stuff back to the family to make sure that they are okay in order for them to actually deal with day to day here, because they can't feel happy here when they know their family is suffering on the other side. So I think that
Exactly.
the way this is linked, I mean, it's so simple, but it's exactly what people need.
Yeah, and the thing is, when we started this project, Malaicha is actually a term that the Zimbabweans use for a bus driver, where they go to Pretoria Bosman station, they give their goods and their money to a bus driver called the Malaicha. Then he charges them money to take the stuff to their families. So what happens? Their food gets stolen. They've had somebody had acid leak in the packages, and everybody's stuff got destroyed. When they get to the border, sometimes the border patrol used to take their stuff as well. So they were never sure that things would get across the border. Same for money. They would sometimes send parcels of money across the border. And I think this has drastically had a positive impact on their lives through operations, through clever thinking, through technology. You can see we have a mobile app as well as a web app. People can go to a website, not just locally, but internationally as well, and purchase online and send stuff to Zimbabwe and Malawi. So, and I think that's what, for me, I'm actually loving what I wanted to do. I'm really living design thinking and innovation with an awesome group of people. I think it's the people at the end of the day that makes it happen as well.
That's nice. It sounds like you're in a good creative space that allows you um, to to think outside the box and to actually reach your potential. So it's a good thing that you're using the skills that you wanted to develop, and that it's actually something positive that other people would need as well. Well done.
Yeah.
Cool. Anisha, what would you like to share with us?
I just want to say, like, first of all, Ernest, I really resonate a lot with what you said as well. Like, just in terms of design as a problem-solving technique is also why I got into design thinking and human-centered design. And like, yeah, it's really awesome what you're doing. So well done.
Well, well done to the people working here. I'm just a little wheel in the, or a little cog in this whole machine. It's like I said, it's working with brilliant people and passionate people and hungry people and people that has walked actually the line. They've been there. They understand the feeling. So yeah, I cannot take any credit. I can just be glad that I'm part of the journey.
Really punting that company there.
Hey, if you really love a place and you really love the environment, there's a saying in Afrikaans, wat die hart van vol is, loop die mond van oor. So it's whatever the heart is full of, it will actually, you will talk a lot about it. So like, I'm passionate about UX as well. So wherever I am, UX and learning. If I meet somebody, I teach them about skills hacking as much as I can. Udemy, Get Smarter, reading books, Audible, whatever can empower somebody. The 20 Hours to Learn Anything by Josh Kaufman. It's one of the best books you can read in your life. Design Thinking Your Life. There's another good book. It's about how you can change your career in a short amount of time and apply design thinking to changing your career.
Cool. I haven't heard of that. That's actually cool. Anisha?
Okay. Okay, so let me share. I'm not actually sharing something I've worked on. It's just something that's really inspired me the past couple of years and like kind of helped me to like pursue what I enjoyed pursuing. And I've kind of taken it from the perspective that for me, design is about empathy and collaboration. So it's like understanding humans and people and then addressing what they need. So what this is a company called Yes Theory. They're actually a social media brand that was started by 3 or 4 friends as they came together and they wanted to just like kind of live their best life almost. And they discovered like life happens outside of your comfort zone. And that really is something I like completely fell in love with when I discovered them. And I felt that they used design in a very not direct way to build a community. So it was understanding people and sharing their stories is what connected various people from different walks of life to kind of all come together under this banner of seeking discomfort is what they call their brand. So I think this is where the design comes in, is that they've created a whole entire brand around their values and what they want to kind of put out into the world. And something that's come out of them creating this brand is that people who are part of this community and believe in their values kind of see each other on the road or wherever they are in the world. And they see each other wearing this brand and they can connect because they know they both follow these ideals. So yeah, this is kind of something that's inspired me a lot over the past few years. And I would suggest you check it out. And their videos that they've created, they do some very crazy, insane things, but they also, when they do it, they share local people's stories and really give an insight into why we should hear other people's stories and have empathy for those around us.
That's pretty cool.
That is very nice. I was just taken by that grey hoodie from the beginning. It looks so
Yeah, it does. Definitely.
Okay, nice. So is this a South African brand?
No, they're actually American, but the people who created the brand are actually from like, I think one is Egyptian and one is French or Swedish or something, and one is American. So it's like diverse already just in terms of their different perspectives.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I'm glad that you guys were okay with participating. I was worried that maybe it would be a bit too much on a Thursday night to push everybody to share. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. Sorry, I'm saying us as if I'm multiple people.
Hey, we are a collective of people, okay?
Let me just share my screen again. Yeah. So what I'd like us to think about just for 5 minutes is so a lot of people, COVID has affected a lot of people differently, and I think sometimes we need to also forget. I mean, we sometimes forget that maybe our situation could be a lot more privileged than a lot of others, because if you think about it, all of us still have jobs right now, or at least have a means of creating work for ourselves. There's so many people in this last year that have lost completely like lost everything, whether it was people who was family in their lives that died, or even just lost work, or any kind of means of a better future. If you look at the school, the education system, and a lot of schools, how they've been running right now, how do you think that's going to affect so many kids in their future? So what I wanted us to do is, let's maybe just take another 5 or 10 minutes, well, not, no, 5, 2 to 5 minutes, where we can just add on this page over here. So you've already got access. There's a page just here on the side where you can add any way of describing how you feel COVID has impacted either your life or anybody in your immediate family, if you want to look in that perspective. So we can put negatives and positives on this page, and then we'll just do that now for another 5 minutes.
I think one of the things that I had to learn was definitely like learning to collaborate remotely with people from across the world, and then also like time zones and things, getting that, because that became like my key source of income as a freelancer, was working with people remotely. So that was some learning, which is good as well. I'm glad I learned that skill, and I think it's the way the world is now. So it's kind of become a custom for everyone. And then I think finding new ways to ensure mental well-being when you can't go outside and, you know, meet people or do the things you like to do. So that's something having to work on. And then falling in love with old hobbies that I used to enjoy, so like reading or painting, that you kind of forget about or don't do as much as you get older. And then I think a big thing from a design perspective that I struggled with was interviewing people, because I'm so used to like being, when I'm working on a project, is being able to like go to the person, sit down with them, talk to them, have those conversations that you need in order to build your products. And being able to get that time with them when you're just working remotely has been a real big struggle in a few of my projects. And then obviously worrying about the future and my family's future because of things like job cuts and as well as like contracting COVID. So just those general worries, I think people are worried about. More sedentary lifestyle, because just being at home the whole day. For me personally, I didn't really have the motivation to like all of a sudden work out or anything. So that's kind of been a bad one. And then also more time to learn, read about things I've always been curious about. So getting that knowledge through social media or books and other things. And then, oh, this was supposed to be scared. So yeah, just scared about generally my community and those around who don't have the resources to be able to isolate and then still earn a living. So they're having to move around a lot. And then also just seeing the direct impact in like my neighborhood and what these job cuts and lack of resources are doing. And then not being able to see people who live far away that I care about, so friends and family. And then just reliance on technology and internet, I think, is a big thing. So now so much more screen time, and everything we're doing is on screens, phone, computer, TV, that kind of thing. And then I think a good thing for me was also realizing how I can provide my services remotely and that I can be viable in the long term because we have access to internet. And then also, I think the biggest thing for me is just taking a leap of faith to start my own business throughout this whole time of the pandemic and like taking into consideration these factors.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I think some of the items that you've got here is actually nice suggestions on how we can make things a bit better for us, because I think we all start going a bit mad in the beginning with doom scrolling and freaking out. And then you're like, oh, when was the last time I walked? And then you realize the only exercise you get is walking to the kitchen.
Sure.
It's really nice. Thank you so much for sharing. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is you have here like your struggles to being able to interview people. Are you talking about like remote user testing and all that kind of stuff, usability testing?
Yeah, so like especially like ethnographic research or like or users of my products that I'm working on, it's just like first, like trying to get them to actually want to speak to me, that's always a problem. Like you say, you want to conduct an interview to find out more if they'd be interested in what you're creating or find out what their problems are. So usually just that initial process, you have to go through so many people just to find ones who want to talk to you. And then not being able to like go out to maybe where they work or where they live to have those conversations in an easy environment. You don't get that responses, I think, that you'd always like to have on your projects, because you always look for someone who wants to interact with you and engage on the topics you want to talk about with them. And I think I've really struggled to find those people when you're only like emailing them or like using Facebook groups and things like that.
Yeah. And what tools have you been using to do? Sorry, Ernest.
No.
What tools have you been using that have helped you, specifically like for the ethnographic research and stuff?
It's still definitely a struggle. Like I'm still trying to find an actual solution, but it's usually like, I think, finding people who are have those contacts already. So maybe they already have a connection that they can like put you in touch with the person you need to talk to, or like groups that are very active and engaged communities. So like something I've learned about recently is Facebook groups, and I've been trying that out. It's sort of working on some of them. I think it depends. You have to do a bit of research on those communities themselves first before you try and engage with them, and then putting it in like survey format as opposed to just telling them you want to have a Zoom call, because I think that's also a thing where people are getting a bit fatigued by all the Zoom calls and FaceTimes and those kind of things. So I think, yeah, changing the formats of doing it.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Okay. Ernest, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so I wanted to empathize with regards to the struggles of being able to interview and conduct usability tests. In our world, the customers that we normally serve, their English is maybe the third, fourth language. They're not very good at it. They can't read it. And the devices that they use are super low LSM devices. So being able to do a test, especially with a remote usability test with somebody that doesn't even understand English that well, is very, very hard, which has made it super complicated and difficult for us as well to test new features and functionality on our customers. For example, one of the things we wanted to test is actually, are they able to distinguish between giving the option number one or clicking a button, for example, in a WhatsApp sign-up process. And you can use a tool such as maze.io, where you can put together a prototype and the person can click through it and you can actually see where they're clicking and where they're falling off. But some cases, like being able to test how they input names and field things like that, is very, very hard. And then it's trying to get hold of them. They at work and they are walking around and they don't have mobile data and they can't take a phone call right now. It has been a struggle. So I can definitely empathize with that from that perspective. Maze.io is a good tool. It has helped a lot, especially, and the groups. Facebook is a brilliant tool when you do join the groups. I've been using that actually since I started my UX career. If I want to learn something very quickly and get some secondary research information, go to a Facebook group, start asking those people questions as much as I can. And that helps actually cut down the time on the information that's required, especially if you have run a low budget on research as well.
Cool, thank you, Ernest. Do you want to maybe share screens now for us?
Yeah, looking for the share screen button here, which is not functioning at the moment on my side, sorry. Okay, there we go. Desktop. Share. Okay, cool. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
So things that I know that have happened to people close to me with regards to this COVID thing is there has been a few people that lost their jobs. I know a few people who have lost family members due to COVID and COVID related complications. Then a lot of people have gone through relationship strain. There has been many challenges there. Definitely some mental health challenges, by work-life balance took a bit of a knock. So you would spend a couple of hours more in front of the computer working. You would work over weekends because you sometimes feel guilty that you're not contributing enough, and you're not visible. People can't see your work, so you want to contribute a bit more. Challenges around that: fitness. We weren't able to go to the gym, and for me, fitness is a very important thing personally. I like to be active and stay healthy, and not being able to stay in my normal routine did create challenges of finding new ways of staying active, walking more in the garden, staying grounded, finding new ways of, like, maybe, for example, yoga, or luckily for me, I had a punching bag in the garage, so I could hit that a little bit, so that helped. And then maybe looking for opportunities abroad, is because you're a bit afraid of your future at the company where you are afraid of what the future is going to hold, and sometimes the grass is greener on the other side, and you're thinking there might be better opportunities there. That has led to a few positive opportunities and projects from international clients. So freelance opportunities has come up, so that has helped a lot with that. Working from home, organizationally wide, it has increased productivity drastically. I tried to get people to work from home for a few years now. So the benefit unfortunately, with COVID was when people were forced to work from home, the company saw, well, we don't need people at the office. They are self-sufficient, they are able to produce, and we actually doubled our productivity. So that was one of the positive things of a bad situation. And then also rekindling old hobbies and starting new ones. For example, an old hobby of mine was photography, and now I'm actually working at making it a little bit more professional. So getting the right lighting equipment, getting the right backdrops, the right gear. So that's something that's happening. And then I think improved family time. You were able to speak more to your family now, where in the past I used to come home 8, 9 o'clock at night. Then most of the family is tired. They go to bed at 10. I sit and work till like 12, 2 o'clock in the morning. I think now with the COVID time, you were able to interact a little bit more with your family, engage more, spend more time with them. So that was one of the other positive things I think that came out with this. I hear a lot of people that said, I was able to spend more time with my children, able to spend more time with my wife. They were able to reconnect a little bit better. So I think it changed our way of how we conducted ourselves when we were forced to be locked down and be in an environment where we actually had to say, okay, we're not going out, we're not working all the time. We do need to spend a little bit more quality time with each other. I think that's one of the positive things from this whole thing. And then, yeah, learning other new skills, or finding time to listen to like podcasts and audio books and stuff like that. I think COVID time has enabled us to improve our learning, online learning, through platforms such as Udemy or Skillshare or YouTube or Facebook. I think that has been one of the other positive things. And that's me.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Anas. So from my side, I also didn't really want to repeat the information that I saw you guys were putting, because as you guys were writing, I was thinking to myself, sure, it's like we're all going through the same thing. So what I thought, let me add on my side, is that initially when all of this started, I found that I was doom scrolling a lot. Like you know that I've got a couple of friends who seem to have they don't understand technology to that extent where they actually think that what they're seeing on social media is the full reality, and that's like what the whole world is. They don't understand that they are actually just seeing a feed based on what they most frequently look at. So and when you start like looking at like, oh, climate change, and then, oh, the COVID, and then it's like all of these things, and after a while you're like, no, I'm never leaving the house ever again. But the reason why I added some of this research from last year, because this is specifically last year's research around about, I think it was June or so, where I was looking at the impact of COVID specifically on South African businesses. And they had mentioned there that there would be 5 waves. I think what we're in now is what, the second or third? Second.
I think they're calling it, it might be the 3rd wave.
Yeah, I can't even remember, because at some point I stopped watching the news. I was like, I'm not gonna look at all the stuff online anymore. I'm literally just going to put my head in the sand and try and just do what I can with what I have where I am, you know. But I think some of the things that we do need to keep in mind is that there's a lot of things that were already existing problems that are now amplified because of the situation. So we previously did have a water crisis, and now it's so much worse. We already had a transportation crisis, and now even though less people are commuting, that doesn't take away the fact that the transportation system is still a problem. You know, there's a lot of there's so many different problems. And if you look at, I want to actually move to the next slide. The reason why I'm talking about all of these things is that sometimes as designers, we focus too much on what we're creating today and forget that what we might be solving as a solution for today can become tomorrow's problems. Mm-hmm. So if we don't look at how, I mean, if you look at, let's take the past, for example, the economy previously was built on slavery. Literally, if you look at the industrial revolution, the only reason there was so much wealth that was actually created was because they had no regard for human life or actually planetary sustainability. Yes, maybe lots of things advanced and technology advanced, but if you look at it, it was at the expense of so many people, so many lives, and even just the planet as a whole. One of the other things to take note of is that at some point, the idea of slavery had become so entrenched in that old economy that belief could not be dislodged. Like, people actually thought that this was the right way. And there's a lot of things that we have today that we actually think is also the right way. Sorry, let me just move this thing. It keeps getting in my way. So for example, the whole concept of time is money. As freelancers or as contractors, we just assume that this makes sense and that this is actually normal. If we look back in history, we know that the Ford Motor Company came up with this concept of 9 to 5, and was actually to try and standardize fair labor standards. But if you try and actually break this whole thing apart, you'll actually find out that this might not be actually a logical way for us to base our time now, even though, especially because of COVID, not spending time in the office, we shouldn't be looking only at the time that is spent, but rather the work that is actually produced. In 1950, the concept of billable hours only came about because it was to boost lawyer salaries, because they were actually trying to match up to doctors. So if you think about it, it's actually a completely silly concept. Law firms at that time, they were just trying to make a lot more money by working longer hours, and the whole concept just became the norm. What I'm trying to help you understand is that even though we've got this concept of time is money, what we need to also remember that once, unlike money, once we spend our time, we can never make it back. Yeah. And we need to be very careful about how we spend it and where we spend it as well. Another thing that we noticed, especially with technology, like, I know this is a very old school picture, but I really love this picture. If we think of how technology has actually advanced, it doesn't even compare to the evolution of the cell phone. Specifically now we've got virtual reality, augmented reality, automation, AI, biometrics, robotics, all these things that we need to design for. And sometimes people focus so much only on the technological side that they actually forget that there's a whole lot of other parts that are actually forgotten about. Specifically, if we look at social inequality and how ethnicity, sexual orientation, physical abilities, and racial discrimination is actually amplified through technology when we actually don't take note of, or if we disregard certain people and don't include everybody in the design process.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things about a time like this, I mean, it's not that I shouldn't say the greatest things, but one of the positive things that we can look at is that it is actually a turning point. Right now, most people are sitting, right now, most people are sitting in this space where it's literally either social media addiction or just stress and burnout is at an all-time high. If you haven't actually learned to get your work-life balance in sync, I saw that, Ernest, you were talking about how you find that you have to work longer hours because there isn't that visibility. I think we all go through that, where we want to make sure the companies know that we're working so hard that we actually spend most of our days literally sitting at our machines and not as much as we could have more time with our families. Sometimes that actually isn't the case. So we need to also look at what are we doing today that's actually going to make things better in the future, not only for the companies that we work for, but for our own families at home as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking too much, eh? So I will send you guys the link for all the info that I got specifically about this. But one of the challenges that all businesses are facing is literally falling into these categories. Namely, what I spoke to you now about mental health, work-life balance and how it's affecting mental health, specifically for workforces, for the different workforces. When it comes to the remote work, that also ties in hand with that. And then we've got, oh, sorry, messages again. I thought I'd put that on silent. One of the things that companies are also looking at, or that they all are really worried about, is the need to upskill and retrain their workforces to keep them relevant. Because, I mean, we all know that we're not living in the old school days where you have one career for the rest of your life until you retire. We actually have to become masters of change and masters of adapting. We might have literally 3 or 4 professions throughout our careers, maybe even more than that. And we need to, I mean, you guys already seem to have that sense of embedding lifelong learning into your workspace, I mean, into your daily life. So I don't really need to go and touch on that point. The rest of the items, I think we are running a bit over. So the rest of the items I'll share with you in the links. And I just wanted to remind you guys that design starts here in our little community. I was hoping that this could be a space where we can share ideas and we can, work on maybe new things together for this community, and to share our learnings with the group as time goes by. Because this Johannesburg group isn't just one person; it's all of us. And that we shouldn't only be focusing on design in the boardrooms and the companies and the governments and the factories, because that's not who we should be designing for. I mean, yes, we design for them, but the end user is who actually matters. It's the customer at the end of the day. It's the communities, it's the homes and the families on the street. Yeah. Any thoughts?
I have a profound statement though.
Yeah.
Graphic design and UX main core functionality, although we have to advocate for the customer, it is to make money for the business at the end of the day. That's why we also have to think about the business and the business goals. And the way for business to make money is to improve the user experience or customer experience or service design of our product and feature to improve the lives of our customers by emphasizing the unique value proposition that we have as a company. Without that, we don't really have a job. So I'm turning this thing on its head by saying we need to try and remember that UX, CX, service design, graphic design, our core purpose is to drive return on investment, to help business make money. And the way to do that is to improve the customer experience, to improve the service design, is to improve the user experience design when it comes to our applications, our websites, our physical products. Because always everybody advocates, yeah, it's for the user and to improve the user's lives. What I do want people to try and remember is that, yes, although we do advocate for them, our purpose and our main goal is to help business make money. We are still a business tool.
I agree with you 100%, but what I'm just making sure that that everybody is cognizant of is that a lot of companies focus first and only on the profit and forget about the planet and the people. And
Yeah.
I think what makes UX designers or even human-centered designers specifically is that we try and actually keep people specifically at the heart of any kind of design decision. And I notice, especially like with the engineering types and the developer types, a lot of times, and I mean, I'm also very process orientated. A lot of times we can get lost so much in the process that sometimes the actual person who's going to use it at the end of the day gets displaced. And it's all about how this is going to serve some form of profit, and then nobody cares about the people. So, yeah.
I think for me, one of the guys that I really look up to, and I think the whole world in one way, is Elon Musk. He's driving innovation and technology to explore the universe. And I know there's a big part or a big community that says, why doesn't he use that brain capacity and that engineering skill to improve the current world that we're currently living? But I think as much as we need those future innovators that are looking beyond the stars and trying to grow us as a exploring species, because that's what we actually do. We do explore. We would have never gotten to this point where we are now if we didn't keep on exploring, innovating. So we need those guys, but I do agree with you. We also need the guys that's on the ground, that keeps their eyes on the ground and try to improve the lives of us, the lives of people in marginalized communities, but also the environment. Try and fight pollution, try and fight the extinction of species, find better ways of producing products that has the least impact on the environment. So I think that does play an important role, but I think we also need to find a place where you feel home. It doesn't help to be at an organization or a company where you don't feel home and you don't enjoy what you do. That's one of the most important things for me. I want to find a place where I can feel at home and feel that I do add value.
You punting your company again. You should become their salesman, their brand ambassador.
I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool, man. I'm just joking. Well, now that you brought up Elon Musk, everybody talks about him, and I initially I had the hugest crush on him, thinking like, this is so cool. He wants to go to space. Like all of us have always wanted to go to space, and now it's actually like more of a reality. But nobody mentions his baby brother. His baby brother is 10 times cooler. He's actually a farmer, and he's trying to create these sort of like a farm in a box, where he's got like a little, what do you call those things? Like you take a container, those containers, those shipping containers, and he basically recreates an environment in this. So you'll go and research what was the best strawberries ever, and then you'll find the data for it, and you'll find, okay, it was actually in Italy in 2017, and then you'll recreate what the climate was like in Italy during that time of the year, and create that in his box, in the little container, and then basically makes perfect strawberries that taste like Italy from 2017.
Wow, that's cool.
Like, how cool is that?
That's so cool, yeah. So the intelligence runs definitely deep in the family and the DNA there.
Yeah, it's a pity that he doesn't get as much publicity as his brother.
Yeah, because I think they can, well, it's what people find interesting, correct?
I suppose the other one is weirder.
Yeah, true. I don't know if you know a guy. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk. He runs a company called VaynerMedia, and he's a bit of a business talk speaker.
Oh, is that the motivational guy?
No, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same guy. So there's Simon Sinek that talks about start with why and the purpose, your purpose, why you do stuff, and leaders get lost. And then you've got Gary Vaynerchuk that's like, he swears a lot, and he's this very hyperactive guy. He started he started his fame when he took over his dad's business called Wine Library, something like that. But he talks about people's attention. When it comes to marketing and brand strategy, you always want to be in the attention or where people's attention is. For specifically with regards to Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, like whatever they are finding interesting, that is what they will veer towards. And you need to create content or, how can I say, be in that space where people do find you interesting. So Elon Musk, he's building spaceships and he's building rockets that can land, and the thing explodes, and it's like these billions of dollars. So it's exciting, and it's like new age, where the brother is doing something that it's farming. And I apologize for putting it like that, but that's, I think, what the larger part of the social network of the human species are seeing it as. But when you broke it down like this, he actually goes back, he does research, the engineering that's involved in putting all of this ecosystem in a little box and then grow things, that's super amazing. And that needs to be hyped up as well. But I think the community is so small, and that's why everybody doesn't know about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, we made this video now, so now people will know. So I wanted to close off with this video. My brother actually sent it to me yesterday, and I just thought I really wanted it to share it. I really wanted to share it with other people. So I just want I want you to watch it, and then I just want you to let me know what you think about it. If this shows up, why is it not showing up? Oh, there we go. I watched it so many times. You can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Twitter bird currently loading.
Yeah, I'm way too old for Twitter, so I don't really go on here. I only go because my baby brother sends me stuff. I just think so. You know, there's been a lot of prejudice and racism that's come out. I mean, look, it's always been there, but in certain places. But I think COVID has made it's shown a lot of people's true colors, and they've actually things
in the 400 years.
So things have actually gotten worse. So I think this is a nice example of taking something negative and then trying to make something positive out of it. So have a look at this.
In the 400 years since enslaved Africans were first brought to America, we've been told to go back.
Quote, they should get back on a ship and go back to Africa.
And we don't belong.
I should go back to Africa where you belong. Go back to Africa!
Told by elected officials.
Go back to Africa.
Told more than once every 3 minutes online. But what if we could tell a different story about what it means to go back to Africa? This is Go Back to Africa, a Pan-African tourism campaign for Black and abroad that hijacks real hate as it happens in real time on Twitter, erases the racist context, and displaces it with the positive vision of Africa through hyper-targeted ads for each of Africa's 54 countries. But we had another problem. For Black people to want to go to Africa, we need to be able to see ourselves there. And most of the people who appear in mainstream travel imagery are white. So we developed an algorithm that pulls hundreds of thousands of travel images from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, uses Google Vision AI to find the ones likely to contain Black travelers, analyzes and tags the content, and pulls them into gobacktoafrica.com. A first-of-its-kind, socially sourced content platform of aspirational Black travel, from Algeria to Zimbabwe. This platform also becomes the foundation for a programmatic influencer marketing campaign, So if one of our millennial targets likes cuisine, adventure, and wildlife, they get a custom ad designed to help them see themselves there.
Okay, what do you think?
That's awesome.
I think it's brilliant use of technology to turn a negative aspect in our lives and in the media and making a brilliant marketing campaign from it. I think it's well done.
Yeah, and I think it's nice how it actually, so it's literally leveraging social media, technology, like politics, like everything all in one. And the design of it is literally, it's almost automatic, because once it's set, then it actually just continues running, and it's user generated content, which makes it so amazing because the design itself is made by the people around. Like ultimately, if you think about it.
No, that's very cool. It's very well thought out.
Yeah, I think
Well,
also like, sorry, I think the fact that it shows Africa from like a in-person perspective and not just that starving kid on the dry land perspective that I think a lot of overseas people have of Africa. So it retakes that space back and shows it for what it really is, the beauty that we have and the amazingness of the continent is important, I think, to show, especially in American spaces where this Africa as a whole is seen in a very specific way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed that, and I think this was a nice evening for our first session. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, definitely enjoyed it a lot. Thank you very much.
So I don't know if you what you guys feel like, if you want to have it monthly or once every few months, but you can maybe just drop me a message and let me know what you think, and then I'll try and try and accommodate and make sure that it runs the way you prefer.
Yeah, I think monthly. Well, sorry, not sending you an email. I think this will be pretty cool to have it monthly.
Okay, cool. And you, Anisha?
Yeah, I think also like monthly, like if we can build this community and like start engaging, like you said, like collaborating on new things, I think